Ni hao annyeong. Hello, I am the Dark Fae, and welcome back to Confessions of a First-Time Dungeon Master. As always, if you missed the last session, I'll put a link to it up in the corner for you over here. You can go check it out, catch up on what you missed, and then come back here to find out what happened next. This is now session 53, so let's begin. Okay, so we are now, in the middle of combat with now all of our party members in the chamber. Not necessarily on the ground, but in the chamber at least. So this was the most nerve-wracking combat that happened. So I don't even know where to begin. So with now everybody there, combat is still gone for like 4 rounds, so both Basil and Beverin are hurt, like half health-ish. The Guardian is actually like melded into the floor. Tyrell is 30 feet up off of the ground from the rope, and Ivar is 60 feet off the ground, so it takes them a turn or two to actually get down, avoid the freezing fog that is gathered at the base of it, and it turns out after some lair action shenanigans. So the lair actions actually for the Guardian are thus: there's 4 possible lair actions that can happen at initiative 20, losing initiative ties. What can happen is that the orb emits a pulse of energy that requires everyone in the chamber to make a wisdom save, becoming frightened of like the Guardian on a failure. Second, this one is I think kind of taken from a white dragon. It's like the fog fills a 20-foot radius sphere at a point of the Guardian's choosing. The area is heavily obscured, and if you end your turn in the fog, you have to make a Constitution saving throw or take 3d6 cold damage on a failed save, half on a successful. A wind can disperse the fog, but I don't think any of them have gust of wind or wind wall or anything like that. And the fog lasts until the Guardian dies, or he picks another point by using like the lair action again. Third has to do with like the terrain. So the whole chamber is difficult terrain, and what can happen is the terrain the ice can turn like very smooth, almost like black ice. So basically those on the ground need to make a dexterity saving throw or fall prone and slide 20 feet in a random direction. There is a ring of ice spikes around where the orb is situated. So yes, Umric and Basil do fall in a couple times, or at least once, and you take some damage there. Fourth is a lair action similar to what they encountered in the Drowned Guardian's chamber, where these like small icy kind of spirits emerge kind of from the different ice spires and stalagmites that are around, and they're kind of weak little minions. They simply can attack and deal psychic and cold damage. I decided to do away with the whole negating their wisdom thing because the Frozen Guardian has a little bit of a different mechanic, I think, to use than an underwater creature really had. So I might give them something different next time. They did extra cold damage basically instead of taking away wisdom. But anyways, so those are the lair actions I can take. And basically combat, the Drowned Guardian also has a couple abilities. One where it can create a wall of ice, or which can appear as like a 30-foot long wall, 10 feet high, opaque, or it can also make a 20-foot radius dome, which it does do actually to effectively separate half of the party, Umric, Basil, and Beverin, from the other 3, Puck, Ivar, and Tyrell. The wall does do damage. When summoned, it does 8d6 damage, and if you like destroy a section of the wall and go through it, you have to make a Constitution saving throw or take 4d6 damage, which can be quite a bit. And also like separating them for the time being makes it harder for them all to like focus their attacks on the Guardian, which they kind of have trouble doing anyway. Like a lot of the time during combat against like these big kind of like boss creatures, I noticed that it takes them a really long time to do like any kind of significant damage to it. Like in 4, 5, 6 rounds, they've maybe hit it like 4 times. And I was like, how's it looking? Like, it's fine. You guys really haven't done a lot to it. And I don't know if it's a combination of like not being able to reach it or not just not being prepped, or I'm not really sure why that pattern is emerging, but it is, and it's not good for their long-term vitality, shall we say. So ends up that like Puck, Avar, Tyral are on one side of the chamber dealing with the Guardian. The Guardian also has one other ability it can do once a day, where it animates like an ice spire essentially into a roper. Kind of played the roper as like vanilla, how it's written, except I made half of its bite damage cold damage as well. So the roper is there because it gets like one attack essentially, but it's more the tentacles that are restraining. That's kind of like the big problem of it. When things are restrained, when you're restrained, like you can't move, you can't attack well, things disadvantage, it's not a good time. So that was kind of to hinder it, but it is concentration. But they never really hit the Guardian like enough to break that concentration for like quite a few rounds. So like Bavra and Puck, occasionally Tyral and Avar, they kind of hop in and out of the ice ropers like restrain, so they're having a hard time until eventually Umric casts, I think it was Inflict Wounds along with his Channel Divinity, which pumps in like an extra 21 points of damage. So he did like 55 points total to the Guardian, who failed its Constitution saving throws for concentration, which finally despawned the Roper, which finally let all of them have their mobility and their like full range of abilities back, which was really important, but still quite a difficult fight, because at that point I think Tyral and Bevern and Puck had gone unconscious once. So because at the beginning of combat, Puck had also like been at half health after falling. So Cleric was kind of hung up with, he used his entire Aura of Vitality, 1 full minute of healing. I think I downed people, I think I downed a total of 6 people, some multiple times. I think Basil got down once or twice, Tyral got down once, Avar got down once, Puck got down twice, I think Bevern got down once. But Puck, who's our warlock, he was knocked unconscious at some point, I think when the Roper had him, or shortly after I think the Roper was dispelled. And the player, he had to hop off since it was getting late. And I was like, well, I have no more decisions to make other than death saving throws, right? It's like, okay, I guess if you want to give that responsibility to someone else. So when it came down to his turn to roll death saves, I was like, alright guys, who wants to roll them? And everyone was like, no, probably better if I roll them as the DM. I was like, okay, that's fine, I'll do that. So I rolled for Puck. First death save, he got a 5. And then rounds happening, they were all also, by the way, like teens of health, some in single digits. So if I had been like a little bit meaner, I think I could have TPK'd them. But honestly, I didn't want to TPK them. I was like actively rooting for them this session. It was like very nerve-wracking for me too to see like how close it got. But they also got really, really lucky with some rolls, where like if it had hit, it probably would have knocked somebody down, and that just tips the odds so much in the bad guy's favor. I also did get some really lucky rolls. Like I think against Ivar, I rolled like 3 natural 20s in a row. So, but although Ivar did get really lucky, when he went down once, he rolled a natural 20 on his death save, which is like the 3rd or 4th time that's happened in this campaign. So he actually got back up and got a turn, which was really important. But so Puck is down with 1 death save. The creature, since 3 of them were clustered, or 2 of them were clustered around Puck, all at low damage, it fires an ice spear at Puck at disadvantage because it's prone. Luckily, the second roll I rolled 2, so it doesn't hit, but Puck does lose another death save because of like the shrapnel. Its ice spear functions a bit like an ice knife, so it hits, and then regardless of whether, or it attacks regardless of whether it hits or misses, the target and any creature within 5 feet has to roll a dex save to take cold damage on a fail. I think I said 2d6 or half damage on a save. So he loses another death save, and then it eventually rolls around to Puck's turn again, because I don't think our cleric could reach him with Aura of Vitality, and like I don't know if he was really visible to the healers, which is their cleric and bard. So on the last death save, I roll a 1, which I guess like the ice shard I guess didn't matter, but yeah. So Puck permadead, and our cleric is out of components because of Ivar dying earlier in this mission. So he's kind of just permanently dead, and I think I mentioned in the last session or something that I'm not really going to give them a free like res for anything higher than Revivifies, so he's gone and is now going to reroll a new character. I feel like kind of bad since it was like Puck's like first quest and we didn't really get into the character, but player-wise he seems like pretty chill about it happening, like it's what happens in the game, so he's working on a new character now. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to roll him into the story though, since we ended the session like right at the end of this combat, so there's like wrap up to do, and then I actually have to travel back to, you know, the outpost, and then potentially teleport back to Prill to find Valhyrie, who is still up. And then I also have to decide if this warrants a level or not, because the resurrection quest, I'm not really determining it as part of the milestone, but defeating an orb is usually pretty significant, so I'm not really sure. It's kind of weird. But anyways, in the combat, so after Puck expires, Guardian's still a bit hardy. A couple important things that they do is like they hit it with fire damage once, which dispels its aura and doesn't let it regenerate hit points at the start of its turn. And then eventually they're able to wear it down enough with some good hits and some decent spells, and Beveren is the one who gets the final hit with green flame. No, he misses on green flame blade, but with his bonus action attack and sneak attack, he's able to get the final blow, shoving the knife into, I think he said, his belly button or equivalent thereof, and the creature kind of falls forward and just cracks and kind of crumbles to pieces. And that's honestly where we ended it. I think Basil's unconscious, and everyone else is in like 10 or below hit points, maybe? So the thing is, though, that the cavern is kind of set to maybe collapse. At least there's gonna be some hazards of large ice spikes falling from the ceiling. They also do have to get back up the large pit, which I guess there is a rope, but that might take some time. And with the tunnel collapsing, we'll see how that turns out. But Basil is also, there's also an interesting development with Basil, because now they have dealt with 2 of these orbs, meaning that 3 out of 6 are broken, which could start meaning some interesting things for the entity within Basil's ring. So that could be fun. Yeah, there's 3 more, which I wonder now if they're still going to go after, especially because Basil's like mentor was probably gonna go nuts if he finds out, because it's not a good idea. But I guess that's gonna be very far in the future, though. So now they have to focus on getting out of this ice cave alive. Yeah, they'll be fine, and then I'll have to see how I can fit in the new character. My goodness. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for the session. We'll find out, I guess, how this wraps up in the next. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for notifications when I put out new videos. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!